Okay, we are rolling. Champions of Champions boxing talk here. Well, today I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to play prosecutor in a court of law with specific evidence against a specific man. And we're going to imagine this guy as being just your everyday Joe. Now, I know Canelo Alvarez is not your everyday Joe, so what I'm going to do here is hypothetical. But for the purpose of this video, let's just imagine he is. And I'm going to leave it to you guys to conclude what a judge and a jury would make of it and how a defense would combat it. And I'm also going to talk about how Golden Boy, playing the role of defense, what they have actually said to defend this. I'm not going to tell you what I personally think about this stuff. I'm just going to lay out, to the best of my knowledge, both circumstantial and factual evidence to do with this drug issue and testing positive, which Canelo Alvarez has in February. And it's recently come out in the news. So I'm going to be impartial, but I'm also going to play prosecutor, and I'm going to present evidence to you, and then it's your job then to think about this stuff and come back with, there are two options, aren't there, really, generally in a court of law. Most times it either ends up innocent or guilty, right? And you are the guys that are going to write the comment section below, innocent or guilty. Let's start first of all. The style of Canelo Alvarez when he fights, he's perceived to be a guy who is muscular, but has needed, at times, a lot of effort and work to make weight, particularly at 154 pounds, or as he fought on some occasions, 155 pounds. Also, an Achilles heel of Canelo Alvarez, perceived to be anyway, is his lack of stamina and being able to work for 3 minutes of every round in 12-round matches. He does seem to go to the ropes and take breaks. If we look at his last fight v Gennady Golovkin, we see some of this similar pattern, don't we? He makes a brilliant start, but kind of peels off that good start around halfway in the fight. And he does seem to get a second wind at the end. But by and large, we've seen this kind of thing before in Canelo Alvarez's career. The drug Canelo Alvarez tested positive for apparently enables an athlete to expand the oxygen levels in their body. It has been linked with having the potential to give an athlete more endurance. Now, you would think, watching the Gennady Golovkin fight, one thing Canelo could have used would have been sustainability in his game plan and endurance, because in the second half of the fight, he looked tired. The next aspect, which is interesting about this drug, is it enables an athlete to lose weight without losing any muscle mass. I've seen Canelo Alvarez in weigh-ins, and although he looks drawn, he still looks muscular. His muscles look like they're just underneath skin. They look like rocks in his body. Could that have any connection to this drug? It also enables an athlete, this particular drug, to burn more calories during either being sedentary or resting than the average person who is not taking that drug. So in other words, Mr. Unfamous Canelo Alvarez, if he was taking this drug, and tested positive, I might add, but let's presume he was on it on a regular basis, could be sat around watching television and burning more calories than you are right now listening to this video. Doing nothing, he would achieve more in terms of weight loss. Let's go to another situation. Canelo Alvarez fought Liam Smith, I think, a year ago at Cowboy Stadium in Texas. What is used a lot in boxing these days is VADA testing. VADA is obviously a testing agency to make sure that athletes are clean and then present information according to those tests that an athlete is not clean. And then it's up to the sanctioning bodies and those involved to do something about it. Well, in the Liam Smith fight, apparently, there was no VADA testing. What was the doping agency that caught Canelo Alvarez, or shall we say, tested him positive recently? That's right. The agency was VADA. Now, let's go now to circumstantial evidence in watching Canelo Alvarez's career. Many people, myself included, felt that Gennady Golovkin had beaten Canelo Alvarez in May last year. Gennady Golovkin did not land as many power punches as we are used to seeing him land, but he did land some. Now, Gennady Golovkin is a man that is synonymous with putting fighters on the canvas with his power punches. He is able to knock down fully fledged middleweights with glancing shots. That's right, fully fledged middleweights. Not necessarily guys who are the best skilled all the time, but they're used to that weight class and that strength of weight class. That's what they do. That's the division they fight in. You would think that experienced middleweights would be able to handle Gennady Golovkin's power better than a man who is making his debut at the middleweight limit. The few and far between power punches that Gennady Golovkin did land, because his jab was the premier punch in that fight, did not seem to faze Canelo Alvarez at all. Converse that now with when Gennady Golovkin fought a middleweight who is actually bigger than Golovkin, Danny Jacobs. Gennady Golovkin was able to drop one of the best and most experienced middleweights in the world. Danny Jacobs in recent times, I don't think, has fought at 154 pounds on a regular basis. In fact, there's no record in my collection at all, but there is with Canelo Alvarez. He stepped up and he took power punches better than the experienced Danny Jacobs. Where am I going with this particular talk on circumstantial evidence? We go back in time when Canelo Alvarez fought Miguel Cotto's brother. Now, Canelo Alvarez fought Miguel further down the road at 160 pounds for the middleweight championship of the world. So, ladies and gentlemen, young Cotto, brother Cotto, does not have the power by any stretch of the imagination that Miguel Cotto has. And he is smaller than Miguel Cotto. He was able to really hurt Canelo Alvarez. So basically you've got a man who has to watch the punches he takes from Miguel Cotto's little brother, but he's able to absorb one of the biggest punches in world boxing, Gennady Golovkin, further down the road. Miguel Cotto was known as one of the biggest 140 to 147 big punches, bigger than his brother. Didn't Canelo Alvarez fight Miguel Cotto? Same thing applied in the Cotto fight as the Golovkin fight. Miguel actually landed, I think, more power shots than Golovkin did. I don't think he controlled the, shall we say, the ring generalship, and I don't think his jab was as dominant, and I don't think he was pushing Canelo back and outworking him as much as Gennady Golovkin. But this big puncher, Miguel Cotto, could not even put a dent in Canelo Alvarez. This man that is synonymous with power could not hurt Canelo at all. Now, it could be Canelo has a granite chin. But if that granite chin had shown consistency down the years, wouldn't it stand up better to scrutiny? But when you're being hurt by effectively a welterweight, and then a middleweight, and a brutal middleweight at that, can't hurt you, what do you personally think about that, ladies and gentlemen? There's other circumstantial evidence that me, as the prosecutor, is going to talk to you about now. And it's to do again with Canelo's ability to absorb punishment, which recently has been phenomenal. Against Liam Smith. Now, Liam Smith is not considered on the same skill level, pound for pound, as a Canelo Alvarez. But Liam Smith has stopped so many people with body shots against the ropes. That's his game. Canelo Alvarez was resting on the ropes for Liam Smith and taking Liam Smith's punches very easily. Very easily. Let's go back and compare that with his fight with Floyd Mayweather, who is one of the greatest boxers in living memory and has decent power from 140 pounds and sharpish power at 147 pounds. But after that, you're kind of thinking he really does have to box his way through. That was the case against Oscar De La Hoya. Never did he buckle Oscar De La Hoya when he fought him at 154 pounds. Let's see the Canelo Alvarez fight. The man that took Triple G's power. The man that took Miguel Cotto's power. The man that absorbed some of Liam Smith's bodywork. Was buzzed big time and on the ropes in the 7th round, according to my eye test, against a good puncher, but nonetheless a lighter hitting puncher than the other guys I've just stated, and that guy is Floyd Mayweather. It makes no logical sense that Floyd Mayweather should be able to hurt you with a power punch more than Golovkin and Cotto can. Particularly when Floyd again is going up in weight. The highest Mayweather ever fought was 154 pounds. And as I said, I didn't see Oscar De La Hoya hurt or seemingly hurt in the same way at that particular contest as much as I've seen Canelo Alvarez hurt against Floyd Mayweather. So what am I getting at? How do you go from being able to take or not being able to take much punishment from Miguel Cotto's little brother and a legend, but nonetheless not the biggest puncher Canelo's faced in Floyd Mayweather? How do you go from being worried about their power to not really having much concern about Gennady Golovkin's power? And on a lighter note, Miguel Cotto's power. I'll leave that one up to you. It defies the laws of logics, but I don't know. I'm just telling you. Now, Golden Boy has admitted that Canelo Alvarez in February did not only test positive for this drug, which I can't pronounce for some reason, but I will write it in the description video. He tested twice for this drug. This drug apparently has also been rumoured, and I'm not really an expert on performance-enhancing drugs, but it has been linked to be able to mask other performance-enhancing drugs, disguising it in your system. Right? Canelo Alvarez failed this twice. The defense from Golden Boy was that it was because of contaminated meat. Canelo Alvarez is a very wealthy, successful athlete and boxer. As I said before, we're going to think of this guy as the average Joe. Here's now where it switches. The average Joe may be exposed on a regular basis to this meat because they have no other option. Canelo Alvarez's team can import meats. They can scientifically have it examined, so there is nothing particularly wrong with them or suspicious about them. Why do you guys think that that never happened? Why were they irresponsible with Canelo's diet? Explain that to me. Now, very experienced trainer Robert Garcia actually claims that the meat and beef excuse has been used for years with a variety of Mexican boxers who were in fact juicing. Also, Canelo Alvarez has a right to, proclaim his innocence and say that this is an accident of some kind. Fair enough. Why now is Canelo Alvarez moving his training camp from Mexico to the United States? Shouldn't he remain where he is and have everything he does from now on monitored? An innocent man really needs to prove nothing. The proof will show itself, surely. Now, with all that said, we can go on and on and on with this information. If this had been Gennady Golovkin, can I ask you guys, what would the response have been? A man's reputation in the sport was ruined and never tested positive, in his career. Yet, the allegations and the scrutiny on this particular fighter changed what people thought of him. He was a guilty man before he was ever proven to ever committed a crime. And still to this day has never tested positive. Never has there been, that I know of, a hint that he tested positive. That man is Manny Pacquiao. For those of you who are supporting Canelo Alvarez right now, what would you same people have said had Manny Pacquiao tested positive for some substance and then told you it was because he was eating Mexican or Filipino meats? Just kind of answer me that one. I'd be interested to know your response. So we're left with allegations. We're not left with allegations. In fact, we actually do have a positive test. Of course, that can be spun in a variety of ways. My cat's just arrived, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry to be interrupted. But is it not possible that some of the geniuses at Golden Boy Promotions could not spin this thing as a mistake? Is there not too much money financially in this fight for it to be cancelled? What does it do for boxing and the image of boxing now that on May 5th you will get an athlete that is tested positive on 2 occasions entering the squared circle to hit another man on the head? What does that say about the sport? Can I also mention Canelo Alvarez fought Amir Khan at the back end of 2005, I think. That fight ended in knockout. Can you imagine if Amir Khan would not have rose to his feet after that punch? Where would boxing be then? Thank God he did get to his feet after that punch. But what happens if he didn't? Where would boxing be then? So I've played prosecutor in this video, haven't I? Now I want you to play defense in the comment section below. And you tell me if this is a man, and we know it isn't. He's not the everyday person. But if he was the everyday human being or the up-and-coming boxer, would he have been allowed the privileges and the benefit of the doubt that he seems to be getting from certain members of the media who continue to support him, and the fan base also? Can you say it's reasonable for another person to have their doubts? Be interesting again to hear your comments on that. Where else do we go? Anybody that watched the Floyd Mayweather v Canelo Alvarez fight could see universally that Floyd Mayweather had won that fight emphatically. One judge, CJ Ross, she decided for some reason to see that event as a draw. Can anybody with a reasonable IQ of life see that fight that way? The Gennady Golovkin fight, one judge, Adelaide Bird, scored that contest 10 rounds to 2 for Canelo Alvarez. Can anyone with eyes see that fight that way? The scorecard, which eventually gave Canelo Alvarez the draw in that fight, was they based it off giving Canelo round 7. Round 7 was one of the strongest rounds for Gennady Golovkin. Does it not seem to me and to you that that judge scoring that round that way was missing something? And that Adelaide Bird actually masked the real controversy, which was the scoring of the 7th round. 10 to 2 may have seemed bad enough, but round 7, question marks about scoring that particular round for Canelo, in my perspective. So adding all of this stuff up, ladies and gentlemen, putting all the keys in the door and finding out that the key that should unlock the door doesn't for some reason, is it not plausible that people should have the right to be a little suspicious of the people around this man, at the least. If you can get a judge to call the Floyd Mayweather fight a draw in Vegas against Floyd Mayweather, alarm bells to certain people must be ringing. So, I've said quite a few things in this video. And as I keep reiterating, it's up to you. I think some of the evidence and arguments pointed out in this video are strong. Your job as a defense is to come back with something equally as strong, if not stronger. Can you do that? That's the question. If you're a member of 12 people in a court of law, everyday people that just get called to do court service, and you're a judge with expertise in the law, let's call boxing the law, right? I think it's reasonable for me to presume that this will at least get to court, or should get to court. There should be some kind of trial if there's justice. Also, here's another question. There's a lot of questions in this. The anti-doping agencies that catch athletes taking performance-enhancing drugs can only catch the athlete. Seemingly, they can't punish once something is done. If an athlete is beyond question taking performance-enhancing drugs to enhance their chances of winning, what good are doping agencies if all they do is say this guy's guilty, but let's fight on? What good are they? Also, what should be done in boxing then? What are they going to sacrifice to make sure that this is a clean sport? We're not in the days anymore when you can just hide anything. Information now travels faster than ever before. Canelo Alvarez is losing support by the minute. Bradley Wiggins, a UK athlete, he's done nothing illegal according to my knowledge or anyone else's knowledge, but he has been doing things unethical according to some. He's losing support fast. It's like we know the truth. It's there in front of us. Things are happening. But for certain special people, systems are turning their backs. And if they're not turning their backs, they may actually be assisting these so-called individuals. So questions galore. I'm going to leave this now up to you. It's an important subject because you're talking about somebody's potential life being at stake. If you put an average person in the ring who then becomes an athlete of immense talent and is doing everything the right way, and then you put someone who is chemically enhanced, that person could kill another human being in the ring. It is possible. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, Canelo Alvarez, he's doing it, so they're all doing it. Well, if you believe he's doing it, I think it's very easy to hide behind oh, never mind, let's just ignore it because they're all doing it. Who are they? Let's find out who they are. Can we accuse all athletes because one particular high-profile one has been caught? If they're all doing it, that still does not excuse if Canelo Alvarez knowingly did it. And again, I'm not saying he knowingly did. That's up to you. I have my personal thought. You have yours. I'm the prosecution. It's time for you to play defense. Or you can join my neck of the woods, the prosecution, and actually be a witness. So, this is Champions of Champions Boxing Talk, and very befuddled video this, but I'm out.